tonight to talk a little bit about education and my work as a teacher, and I started thinking about that on the way up through the traffic from Southampton. And it's interesting that we're meeting today in the High Point Centre, because the High Point Centre here was built as part of the New Deal for Communities, which was a Labour government initiative to invest money in communities and improve them, not only in terms of the physical fabric, which this building is a brilliant example of, but also in terms of the social fabric. And one of the things that New Deal for Community did here was it invested in the 3 local primary schools on the Thornhill estate. And what it did, it didn't invest in extra teachers, it invested in extra support staff and staff to deal with the social issues that came in through the door. Because often schools are not just places where education happens, but they're places where an arm is put round a child's shoulder and sort of counselling happens, low-level counselling to support individual children who have the most horrendous home lives sometimes. And of course, that investment in those 3 schools in Thornhill had a real impact on the educational attainment of those students. And I think one year, I think Thornhill School itself was one of the most improved schools in the country because somebody invested in those children. And so that has got to be one of the key principles that we operate on as a party and as a community. If we don't invest in our young people, and I would say, I often make this little joke, and I say we should be investing from the point of conception to the age of 25. And of course, the serious point there is that money spent in Sure Start centres, and I was immensely proud that as leader of the council, we kept every single Sure Start centre open in this city, despite them shutting up and down the country. And the reason for that is because that investment pays off for society in the end. It's interesting tonight that I heard on the news coming up that the number of children in the care system has doubled since this government took power. What an indictment, what an indictment. What a statistic of social failure. Now, that means that as a society, as the council, they are acting as the parents of those children. And currently, I think the number's about 530 in Southampton. It was 300 at the start of this government's term. And I'm immensely pleased that I met Amanda here tonight, and Amanda used to work for Thornhill Plus U, who are a continuing body from the New Deal. And Amanda's recently started a course as a social worker. And I was really pleased to hear that, because I think she'll make a brilliant social worker. But what I was really pleased to hear is that she's starting a course at Solent University, one of our local universities, to do that vital work. And that happened, I suspect, in part because I lobbied as the leader of the council for that course to be put on, for social workers to be trained in the city, for people, local people who are committed to this society, this community, to actually get trained here, work here, and put something back in. And I'm really pleased that Amanda's chosen to do that. In terms of schools in the general discussion, we hear all the time that I hear it, and I sometimes want to throw things at the radio. I should really try and train myself to calm down a bit. I hear Conservative ministers coming on and saying schools funding has gone up. All the head teachers are lying about this. Schools funding has gone up. It's an absolute myth. Unfortunately, what they fail to remember is that the number of children that are in the schools has also gone up significantly. And so the net funding, particularly if you take into account things like rising costs of employment, pensions and so on and so forth, has actually gone down significantly. And there is not a school in this city that is not struggling to make ends meet. And I know that one school, certainly one we highlighted during the general election campaign, has had an effective cut of close on 20% by the time we get to this end of this funding period. And that is the equivalent, of about 13 or 14 full-time members of staff. It's a large secondary school, but still, no school can survive the loss of that sort of number of experienced staff. If we're about anything as a party, it's about giving young people the best start in life that we can. And we don't do that by taking away the resources that they need to succeed in life. Thank you very much.